Welcome to Dawn Hunters. I'm Captain William and we are in the water.
And I'm Yana.
And she's in the water. No.
And I'm in the water too.
After 6 drooling months on the hard, we are on the water and we're going to give you an exterior tour of what we've done on this boat with a before and after.
The sun is killing me. All right, let's start with the bow.
Wait. Okay. Let's start with the bow. The bridle was all rusty, the shackles were rusty, and the net was totally rotted away. So we have put on a new bridle, new shackles, and redid the nets. The bridle was a disaster. It was all rusty and rotted ropes, so we've replaced that, and we've taken the front nets and completely restrung them so they're safe.
You stepped on my hair. This
is a great bridle.
This is hurting me.
We're testing the bridle.
This is painful. You stepped on my hair and ripped half of them off.
For those of you that aren't aware, the bridle, which is normally on a horse, it's the same word for a catamaran because it attaches to the port and starboard hull. That way the anchor is centered, so when you're swinging in the wind, your chain isn't hitting one of the bows. So the bridle is pretty important to keep that anchor chain really low and the anchor stuck. The boat has a ladder, so when you beach it, you can go off the front, or even for diving the anchor, you go off the bow of the boat. But it was kind of twisty and flimsy, so we took it off, completely rebuilt the inside of it, so now we can put 10 people on there, or even an elephant, I guess.
We've learned over the years, as we dragged so many times, it's pitch black, anchor is not holding, and you're drifting somewhere at night. It's really, really scary. Larger anchor is always better. As large as you can possibly fit on the boat. We had Rockna 40 anchor, and now we've upgraded to Rockna 50 for super holding power, as we hope. I'm always the one who's stuck dealing with the anchor. This setup is so nice and I'm so looking forward to do this because I can just come here, open the hatch and check on the anchor instead of trying to lean in front of the boat halfway out from the net. And snagging the mooring ball gonna be amazing because I can do it from right here in the middle.
And speaking of anchor, we had a very small windlass, and now I've replaced it with a low franz, and the windlass is actually halfway inside the front helm station. We can release the anchor from the outside of the boat and control it with the 2-foot switches, or we can release it on the inside because I've also added a remote control. So we have anchoring down even without having to be out in the pouring rain. The boat is rigged with an Admiral 24-volt electric furler, and we removed the head sail and removed the staysail, sent them out, made sure they were cleaned. We had a few patches to do and some repair work, and then have reinstalled them. Currently, we're getting a new motor for the furling system because it was so corroded it was locking up from time to time. But we have a manual drill that if this thing goes to shit on us, we can put the drill motor in there and still keep going.
The only way to access this large watertight sail lockers were through these hatches. Me and William thought about it, and if you haven't seen that, make sure you check those episodes, but we decided to cut inside the bulkhead and install the watertight doors, which you can look in the previous episodes, but we will go in the details of that when we do our interior tour separately. But for right now, I'm just gonna show you the hatch. I'm actually super glad we cut those doors inside because crawling out like this is possible, but not very convenient.
Encountered a small problem is that when I cut the door, then I removed the ladder and had no way to get in and out. So I took the ladder, redesigned it so it clips in place, and now we can take it out and we use that for our swim platform access onto the boat. So access ladder and swim platform ladder on each side, port and starboard.
I wonder what's gonna happen if you're gonna take this ladder and put it where the dinghy is by the swim platform, and then you need to get out from this hatch and there is no ladder.
I've got you covered. Wait till we get to the other side, smarty pants. But wait, you know those ladders are always so heavy and bulky and a pain in the ass to move around? grab this thing.
Aluminium, Papa.
Put it in place so the next person doesn't fall down the sail locker. Someone was looking for a ladder when the ladders are in use, and I thought about that also. Here we have a ladder within a ladder. Maybe I can get it apart. One ladder stays behind, so always have access, and the other two ladders can go on the port and starboard. So we have ladders abundance. We have two watertight bulkheads midship, and originally I had planned to have the batteries here, but because of weight and because of access, the batteries have now moved to the back, and in here we have now shelving and actually a spare anchor. And if the unlikely event, I hope never happens, but the boat capsizes, the watertight bulkheads in the bow and the two here at the front of the ship, even capsized, will keep the boat afloat on the front end. The boat originally had hatches by the designer, but the factory and the guys that built it did not put any hatches in any of the cabins. So we put 4 hatches, one in each cabin, for escape and also for air, and if there would be some kind of a fire or something. But this is my favorite hatch because when we open that up and it's pouring rain, we get a fresh rain shower in our shower down below. In the comments, a lot of people were saying you probably shouldn't put hatches because it's another access point, it's another place that you might have water entry. Well, these are glass hatches, they're not acrylic or plastic, and more importantly, the boat was designed to have them structurally because of the watertight bulkheads. The cabins, it's much safer to be able to escape than to be caught there with the burning catamaran in the middle. The boat actually had paint which was very slippery, and we added anti-skid because we don't really mind using shoes on the boat, but more importantly, we don't want to be slipping and slopping around. The real reason is we don't have to clean it. The hardtop is another location for actually 4 solar panels, 540 watts each, but also provides shade. Problem is the boom was hitting it if you saw when we first got the boat. So we lowered it down by 15 centimeters and then changed the angle. At the same time changed the boom. So now we can have the mainsail fully deployed. We can run the Traveler back and forth, and we have plenty of room between the boom and the hardtop. I had to design a new gooseneck system because the other one was so sloppy and so weak that the actual boom was moving back and forth at deployment. At the same time, I took the gooseneck mount and raised it up by 15 centimeters. So now the boom and the sail and the mast is all at a correct position based on the sail plan, which is 120 meters square for the mainsail. Square top, full batten.
Square top, full batten. Sassy.
Ready, go. All right, she's in. We have to install each batten and then install the cars because it's too long to be able to do it on the ground and raise it all up. We have wind when we're doing the install. Do we have wind when we're trying to sail? No. Do we have wind on the dock? Absolutely. We have to raise up the main and install each batten, but the battens are falling all the way off the back of the boat, and we have to do it in between the wind gusts. But it's much better than attaching each batten to each car on the mast. Without detail, Solar has been a hell of a ride because between flat panel, bifacial, non-bifacial, insulation height, look at a lot of the last videos where I did testing. So I've ended up by having the Sunwear flat panels and then having the bifacials for a total of 7,000 watts of solar available on the vessel. I'm still working on the solar layout because the boom and the mast is so large that based on where the sun is, half of these solar cells are being covered. So I've got to come up with a better way to maximize sun. The mainsail was nasty dirty by being in Durban, so we removed the complete mainsail in all the cars. I rebuilt all the cars and realigned the car track, and then we reinstalled the mainsail, and now it is sliding up and down just like it should. We have 3 huge electric winches, 2 of them that are in the upper helm station so we can adjust the sail plan, Genoa, and the sails. And then there's one midship here, which is also electric. I replaced all the switches on all the winches. Some were intermittent, some were leaking water, and now with a push of a button, we've got the winch plan needed. How cool is that? A mainsail of this size, 120 meters square with an 8-meter boom, requires a very powerful traveler, which allows the mainsail boom to go from port or starboard based on the wind. This vessel has a motorized mainsail traveler system, so I had to realign, relocate the tracks and the pulleys to be able to get that to function properly and still maintain the boom position based on where the sail. And I had to make sure I didn't hit the 2 wind generators that we installed. Make sure you check out in past video because we had to move the traveler and track system back so that it was at the right position because the boat originally was a 48 and now it was designed as a 53. So the track was too far back and causing stress on the hardtop. It is a motorized mainsail track system, so I also had to redesign and move that and get the right angles so that we could be running from starboard to port without coming out and moving any lines or ropes. And we can adjust this from the upper helm, and also we can look through the glass down inside and adjust it from the lower helm. We replaced a lot of the lines. They were Dyneema but covered by UV, but they were so worn and tethered that I didn't trust them. So we now have all of the lines coming to the upper helm so we can single handle this boat between the 2 of us. The crew blew the starboard engine on the way over and we were thinking that water came in through the exhaust. Well, in closer investigation, this boat never had intake filters from the raw water into the engine, so the heat exchangers were totally plugged with weeds, old impellers, and a bunch of mess. So I completely replumbed it, added filters, added a siphon tube. We had to pull out both engines, rebuild both engines, pull out both sail drives, and completely go through them and then reinstall them. So now we have 2 amazing running engines. The sail drives are tip-top shape. By design, all the water from the upper deck and the side decks run down the 2 steps and then they run into this catchment box, port and starboard side. So I plumbed that with a valve so I can actually catch water port or starboard, hold it in an additional tank, and now we have free water for washing the dinghy, washing the boat, or just general cleaning. And that catchment box then has hoses that go overboard so that that water isn't flooding the engine room. So when you get a really nasty rain or storm, you've got to be in here to open the hatch. You don't want all that rain for your boat going into the engine. I removed the old car winch and built a winch system out of a old windlass anchoring system. So now we can raise and lower this platform and still put locking handles in. That also had to be worked around the 2 poles we've added for the wind generator. I think you're too heavy for the winch. There's 2 huge advantages to this platform other than lowering and raising a dinghy, is that it calms the water so you come behind the dinghy and it's going to break the waves. But more importantly, we get to sit here and the wind blows from the catamaran down the middle. You're never getting any breeze in the back. It's a perfect place for rolling off the deck and going diving. Some other little goodies, I've added an electric winch on the aft deck and the pulley system for raising and lower dinghies and anything else that's heavy. Added a motorized spool system with 150 meters of line, so we have an ability to either drop a drogue or do anchoring off the bow and stern when you're in an island somewhere. And guys, for that dinghy saga that continues, I am not giving up on having an alternate. Right now we can just pick the dinghy up and put it on the platform, but I also want a way to put the dinghy high enough that if we're really going a long distance in nasty seas, then we don't have to worry about the dinghy getting flooded or drenched with a following sea. So this is the solution. Bring it up high, tie it off.
And this is one of our favorite parts on this boat. Back deck. Look how roomy it is. There's still going to be a table here. You can see William has a work in progress dinghy lift, and we also removed the insulation here on the top. William is bugging me to put something back here because he's saying that the heat rises and it's too hot without those panels that were here originally. But I'm fighting back and I'm saying I want this industrial cool aluminum look, and you let me know in the comments if we can keep it like this or you think it's ugly. I'm gonna come for you if you're gonna say it's ugly.
Guys, if you would have seen this boat when we first stepped on it, the whole back deck was covered with this fake wood decking that you have on the back of a cabin. And you get a little bit of water on this and you are skating like a freaking bowling alley. So we ripped all that off. You gotta check out when we first got the boat. And now we're putting the same anti-skid all over the back that we have on the rest of the boat. There's going to be a video coming out on batteries, generation, and energy, but because the generators now are located on the port and starboard part of the engine room, I wanted the batteries as close as possible. So I relocated the whole design of the batteries in the front and moved them back here to the aft deck. They're still outside, so in the event of a fire or some issue, they would just burn and melt down. But I have now the batteries, a port and a starboard battery bank, and a port and a starboard generation system off the main engine.
Not everybody knows, because you guys are not watching all the episodes, that we have replaced also doors and windows on this boat back in Africa. So the original doors and windows were not marine, and so that's why they were not really sealing properly. So a lot of water and bugs were coming through, and that's a no-no on the boat. So this one's actually very nice industrial type. They open and close. They have bug screens on them. Much lighter option, so very nice and robust. We also went with mirrored glass, so you can't see anything inside. Just like in case we are doing something, you know. Cooking. Well, you guys can see it's still a work in progress, but a lot has been done and we are so happy to be in the water.
The most important is have a boat that's safe, and this boat...
And floating!
This boat's not safe.
It's safe. I'm floating.
So we spent 3 months more than planned, but we encountered a lot of things, and we wanted this boat to be super safe, and we wanted it to be made our way. So we still have another couple of months before storm season is over, but finally, in all of our boating lives, we're going to be going with the seasons and without being in storms all the time.
And I'm sure you guys are going to have a lot of questions because we only covered in this outside boat tour what we remembered that we did, because we surely did a lot more than that.
Join us next Saturday for a live. We're going to answer all the questions that you might have about this tour, about the refit, and about aluminium boat in general.
Yeah, and we're just going to talk to you guys. As always, make sure to leave a comment below because we're going to screenshot those and answer those live.
We've been posting a lot of back scene shots, photos, raising the main, doing a lot of different things.
Back scene shots.
So make sure, if you're in Patreon, or join Patreon and start getting some really engineering core details about what we're doing and what we're going to continue to do on this vessel and maybe some other vessels.
But that's for later.
6 months on the hard and not being hard, no.